everyone. What is up, all? We'll see if VideoTube actually wants to capture my microphone properly. For some reason, VideoTube, it's more likely going to pick up my air conditioning than it is my own voice, despite the fact that I speak louder than my AC. I wish you could put, an equalizer before it to, help figure that stuff out and help bias it to certain things. Anyway, hello, everyone. It's been a hot minute since we have streamed here. Mainly just going to be doodling a little bit today, and wanted to stream because I think it would also get more attention and stuff, because, hey, guess what? There's a Pivot plushie that is currently available for a early pre-order. It's only $2 to do it for now. The full thing will be $30, but basically if you are for sure going to want a Pivot plushie, you can put $2 down now and reserve one early on. But yes, we've almost hit our goal. Last time I checked, it's a little slow to refresh, so I'm not going to keep refreshing it, but we only had 11 more to go. Anyway, I'm mainly here to doodle a little bit and hang out and chat with you guys. Probably for about an hour or so. To get a square brush. If the campaign is successful, depending on how successful it is, Makeshift does want to keep the option of doing a follow-up campaign for another character on the table. At that point, I would probably do a poll to see what people want. The options would probably be between Socket, Izalith and Hiro, and Cecil. I have been busy with stuff, mainly just typical Patreon stuff. It's no secret what I draw and stuff. I've been doing stuff mainly just for my Patreon and things like that. But this song is from Pizza Tower. This was Spaghetti, I think is what it was called. But yeah, I've got the Pivot Plush announcement that has basically gone off, and if we can get it funded and completely hit the goal in 3 days, or less than 3 days, that'd be awesome. Kind of joking with my contact and stuff at Makeshift and stuff, saying yeah, I've been trying to get in contact with you guys for 2 years now. All my friends have gotten in contact and had their plushies, and had plushies made of their characters. Pizza Tower has such a goddamn good soundtrack. I can't remember, was the developer planning on making like a DLC pack for it? I could have sworn he was doing like additional content. You can just ask the question. You do not need to ask if you can ask a question. Questions are always legal. What are your go-to perspective exercises? Easiest way to kind of start, really. Like, as far as, like, understanding perspective, two things that you can do. One is I actually use a tool called Design Doll, which allows me to kind of pose a 3D model around and take screenshots of it. But also, another way to handle perspective is to, like, I actually have a grid pattern that I've pre-made, but you can easily make this using just line tools. So, make a grid, vectorize it, duplicate, and then transform it and put it into perspective. Just duplicate this of able to draw a box seeds. behold, now we have a box that is technically in a very warped perspective. It doesn't actually work right. But another tip that you can also do, when it comes to like cylindrical or prismatic shapes, like say for instance we want to do a tube, and we have a circle right here. I'm going to draw the vanishing point right here. If we take this object, and we want this to basically make a cylinder that goes to the vanishing point, we can duplicate one layer, with Control-T, move the anchor point over to the vanishing point, hold down Alt and Shift, and then scale this down, and it will gradually move to the object, and allow you to get an extreme level of perspective. And you can just use straight lines in order to basically connect it, and then use the eraser tool with straight lines and stuff as well to trim things down, because as things go further back, they should get thinner in terms of line detail. Make this into a good old-fashioned rifle. This is a very janky looking rifle. It works. Use the same object, the same process with like any other shape and stuff. And usually when it comes to like drawing firearms and stuff, I actually use boxes. I do not stream to YouTube very regularly. I stream here about once every 2 to 3 months. So I do not have a schedule. I'm mainly here today because I have a plushie that you guys can purchase or pre-order and stuff. You can see it down, linked in the description, as well as linked on the page, or in the YouTube video. So if you want to get a plushie, or put $2 down to one, please do. We only need 11 more from last I checked. I'm gonna actually refresh and see what we're at now. Only need 10 more to go. But I will do, I think what I'll do today is a bit of a mini comic. It's a very thin line. And somehow I managed to get this arranged perfectly in the center. That was kind of lucky. I want to bring back the PVO2 comic, but I want to do it in a way that I actually can do that won't drive me insane, because the comic itself really started wearing on me, and I wrote myself into numerous corners that I could not get out of. So if I do bring it back, it's going to probably be in a different form. And I also want to retell the story entirely. Because, like, there's a lot of stuff in the PVO2 universe that kind of just felt very arbitrary, and I didn't really put a whole lot of thought into it. And it came back to bite me in the butt. So I would want to basically make things more consistent, stuff like that. We'll go into that in a bit, though. Yes, to both. There's a lot of things that basically just felt like they happened for no reason, and it was just like all just pure coincidence, and that gets really lazy in terms of writing before. I'd want to basically try and figure out how to make it so that way Pivot feels more like active in terms of what she's doing for the plot, and that she has more of a reason to do what she does. I I've thought about doing like a novelization version, but like people tend to not really like novelizations. Ultimately, I am also an animator, so I'd want to do something that like I can actually play off of animation a bit more. But generally speaking, novelizations tend to not get very popular, unfortunately. And yeah, everything would be rebooted. Some characters would be removed because they didn't really have... They were put in there because I had OCs, and they were put into the plot because I had OCs, not because they actually fit into the plot. Like, Paladin and Gladys were kind of the two biggest cases of that. And they didn't really fit into the story. So like if I do include them in the story, they're going to basically have a complete redesign. I can actually pull up a few designs as well, because I have done art for like a overhaul. This is before I had finalized Socket's new design, but these are some design updates that I have considered and thought about. And here's Socket's actual new design. I've got this right here that kind of shows one of Pivot's alternate outfits, because I wouldn't want to have her running around in an office attire when she's doing field work. But overall, the webcomic, like if and when I bring it back, it would probably take on a much more serious tone. Also, I'm very happy with Lux's redesign. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on whether or not to give Pivot pantyhose or leggings or anything like that. I would want to basically run that by like a poll, because I'm actually going to poll about this design choice over here on YouTube and across my other socials and stuff for the plushie, because I want to know if the plushie should reflect this or if it should just go without or whatever. But the idea basically is like, if its outfit is a lot closer to Relay's now because they basically are both working as part of the same organization. And one key change is that Pivot would actually be working with Vigil right out the gate as one plot change, rather than her being recruited by Flux. Probably Bleach serious. Like, it's not going to be like... It's going to take itself a little bit more seriously overall. Any advice for designing robots? Key thing that I would probably say is look at sources of inspiration, because there's so many different ways to do robot characters that, like, just pick a design style that you like and go from there. Like, if you like how Mega Man does their designs and stuff, I kind of like some elements of that, like how they have like the bulkier limb parts, though I kind of mainly just do that on like the arms. If you want to do them more realistic, that is legal. I do think part of the point of having a robot character design, though, is making sure that they look obviously robotic somehow. M0. I'm doing all right. I've never heard this track in Pizza Tower before. What the heck is this track? Tips for backgrounds. I can't give you tips on backgrounds. I suck at backgrounds. Yes, the is twice on purpose. Yeah, I'm just trying to do a simple little comic right here. And I'm already having issues, and I'm even duplicating things a lot. The soundtrack is the Pizza Tower soundtrack. I'm not gonna keep shifting pages to tell people every single song name. Alright, I'm going to put up a little announcement here. Now people will know that the music is from Pizza Tower. Yes, I do plan on doing more D&D and Pathfinder style videos. It's just a matter of figuring out what I want to do videos on. As you can see, VitoTube is now picking up my air conditioning, which is nowhere near as loud as my voice. Alright, I think that'll hopefully help with the VitoTube issue.
Move it, boy.
We're gonna do a song that you never heard before. Are you ready?
So we all know plushies, their true purpose is to basically threaten you. Comics is hard. love Pizza Tower's soundtrack. One key tip that I will give to people when it comes to art, sometimes you gotta just you just gotta stop thinking about what you're drawing. Stop, like, fretting over every single detail and stuff. It's more important to get stuff done sometimes than it is to, like, make sure everything is perfect. Perfect is the enemy of good enough. Key thing to remember is that the amount of time spent on a piece is not necessarily indicative of its value or its worth or its deserved popularity. Stuff that is technically impressive, like, sure, that we can always argue that, like, stuff that is more technically impressive should deserve more attention and stuff, but, like, really what's really gonna cause a piece to basically pop off is gonna be how accessible the ideas are and how, like, relatable they are. And sometimes that is conveyed through the technical quality of a piece, but, like, it's just important to consider that, like, basically there's a quality work and stuff, and, like, popularity online and stuff aren't always going to be they're not always going to be correlated. But a lot of people and stuff, when they're learning art and stuff, they just get so hung up on trying to make sure everything is perfect, and, like, they get caught into a trap. And then they never get anything done. And I'm guilty of that too. Literally every artist is, in some degree. The reason why I haven't done, like, the reboot of PVO2 yet. But that's also because I want to try and figure out a format that I can actually, like, do without killing myself. But as far as, like, online reach and stuff goes, and the popularity of something is, like, it's not necessarily going to relate directly to its quality and stuff. Sometimes it's just going to be a matter of, like, how funny it is. Like, Through the Dents, for instance. That's one of my most popular videos on this platform. The reason it got popular is because it's just funny, not because it's particularly good quality. I cut a ton of corners with making that video and stuff, and it's not really, like, my best technical quality work. Like, the writing from it and stuff I'm more proud of than I am the animation itself, though there are a few animated bits that I'm also equally proud of, but still, it's like, it got popular because it was funny. And it started off initially as just basically a quick, dumb little idea and stuff that wound up kind of exploding. Okay, so I am currently using what's known as a vector layer. So vector layers can only handle lines, they can't handle fills. But basically I can draw a line as normal, and this becomes an object. you can see when I select the object using an object selection tool, you can see that it has all the nodes to make a spline. This means that I can also like transform it, rotate it, and scale it. And get this, because it's a vector, it's still just as clean of quality. I also have a tool known as the Redrawn Vector Line tool where I can actually trace over it and adjust the line thickness, which is incredibly useful. I like using vector layers for like cartoon work and stuff like that. Vector layers you can access from down here. They have new raster layer down in the corner. Next to it you have new vector layer. I have bound it to Control-Alt-M because Control-Alt-N is make a new layer, Control-Alt-M is make a new vector layer for me. Highly recommend trying them out. Also, vector layers work with vector erasers. When you have them set to these three options, the first option is basically just erase where you draw over. The second option is erase everything up to the next intersection. So if you have a cross like this is the one I use the most, you can just erase the corners and then suddenly now you have a sharp corner. And then the last option is erase all of the object that you erase. So if I go over that, it erases the entire stroke, even the stuff that it crosses over with. I really only tend to use this one. You can also have refer to all layers, and that will basically cause it to, you have two vector layers and stuff, and they cross over. You can choose whether or not it will refer to each other or not, which is useful in some situations. Sometimes like I'll have clothing stuff that goes over top, and if I don't want it to reference, and if I want it to treat it like itself, so that way it's like making its own silhouette, so that way I can fill it in easier. Because vector layers also work really great for like fills. I'll get to that in a bit, but sometimes if I want to have like a closed loop and stuff, I want to only refer to the layer that the vectors are on by themselves rather than any other vector layers. The biggest advantage for me for vector layers is just the ability to modify, well, move around object lines and stuff after they're drawn. It's like, have you ever had a situation where you draw the perfect stroke, but it's in the wrong spot? You can fix that much easier with vector layers. And then also just the ability to adjust line thickness after the fact. The key thing with vectors is also to make sure that you use only the minimal amount. So combine vector layers where you can. I have connect vector line for that, because vectors generally work better if you have good line discipline. If you're doing like this constantly to try and draw your silhouettes and shapes, it's gonna look like garbage. You merge it down and like look at the clustering on these nodes and stuff. Like this is really messy right here. You've got like, it's very uneven, etc. You can go through with a simplify vector line tool and stuff to make it a little bit better. But you can see how like there's this big gap right here where there's no splines, and then there's like these nodes all clustered together still. So it's going to make it kind of a lumpy line as a result. I mean, I have a lot of art of pivot. Let's see. I'm not going to show it because a lot of it is not safe for work, but let's see. As far as fan art I've gotten, I have 216 pieces of fan art that I've received for Pivot over the years. And over the past 4 years, I have 252 items of Pivot that I have drawn, but this is also including, like, you probably would cut that in half, considering that, or probably cut it into a third, because a lot of it is, like, duplicates, like, multiple frames, variants, or, like, the CSP file and the result file. let's see. Let's see here. I don't understand much of that. Hesed, I am totally fine with the Spanish-speaking community and stuff, and like other languages and stuff. It's just that I have about like 80% fluency with reading Spanish. Speaking it is a bit lower for me. It is just a little bit of an issue because like a lot of people in the chat don't speak every language and stuff, so it can kind of be hard to talk to people and stuff in chat. I also have a quick translator that I can use in a browser. But yeah, I like the fact that my work has widespread reach, like internationally and stuff, and I like that I have Spanish speakers who follow my work. How would I say that? Hiro is want. Oh yeah, me gusta. Let's see, how would I say that? Me gusta los españoles. Can't remember how to say speaker. It's been too long since I've actually spoken Spanish. Speak Spanish. Oh yeah, hablar. When I make a drawing, usually I try to keep poses in mind. If I don't have poses in mind, I'm kind of screwed. That's actually one issue with like doing requests and commissions and stuff oftentimes, is people will like have an idea for something and they will describe what they think is a pose, but it's not actually a pose. It's just kind of a clusterfuck of ideas and concepts, and then they don't work well together. If you've ever had somebody be like, or if you've ever seen somebody, you know how there's a whole thing of like, oh hey, yeah, you can see both her butt and her boobs and stuff, and then they draw it and then it's like the character is twisted around 180 degrees at their torso and their spine is broken. That kind of pose comes from people not thinking about the idea of something more than they do the composition and like the pose for it. And that's a really big offender in the not safe for work art communities. I like vector layers though, because I can just grab these lines and just shuffle them around like that. Forget how to draw pivots. Flip it. How's your day? My day is not over yet. My day is still only 1:30 p.m. For a while there, this is when I was waking up. And then I got really sick and it fixed my sleep schedule. This is not a PVO2 comic. This is just a small little side thing. As mentioned earlier, if I resume PVO2, it's going to be basically a complete reboot, starting from the beginning. I can actually talk a little bit about some of the changes if you guys would be interested in that. Did I ever deny any commissions? Yes, I have denied a lot of commissions before. There's a lot of things that I just will not draw and stuff, and I don't generally like doing commissions, to be totally honest, if I don't need to. I much more prefer drawing stuff that is more personally relevant to me. Stuff that more I'm interested in. Commissions are more done out of necessity than they are, that's really what they are. Commissions are purely a utilitarian thing. But I've had some people try to ask me to do fetishes that, I really would not draw. So I've declined those. I've had some commissions that I've had to decline because they wanted me to do content involving my OCs that I was not comfortable with. Something that is kind of frustrating that I've ran into before. It wasn't necessarily a declined commission, but I've had a commissioner get really upset when I just kind of told him the truth that, hey, I'm not invested in your OCs like you are. Or even at all. And they got really upset over that because they wanted me to love they not only wanted me to draw their OCs, they wanted me to love their OCs. And it's that's not what a commission is about. You can't pay somebody to like your work. I mean, technically you can, but it's not going to be genuine. But the question earlier about the PBO2 comic, though, if you want to see an idea of basically kind of like the vibe that I want to go for in the reboot and stuff, this is essentially it. Or kind of a loose concept and stuff. This obviously isn't detailed at all, but like this would basically be like an abandoned city. And the idea essentially would be one major change would be like it wouldn't take place in just like, how to put it, essentially you'd have a part of the city that is essentially developed and maintained and stuff like that, and that's where like a lot of the action takes place. But then there's also an area outside the city that is still just a sprawling mega city where it's basically just kind of completely abandoned. So we have like this huge sprawling area that's like kind of essentially a wasteland, and then we have the developed like high-tech area and stuff where people still live, stuff like that. And Pivot's role, and Vigil's as a whole, is they're meant to basically monitor the conditions outside of the inner city to see what's going on in the abandoned parts of the city, to see where these phenomenon known as glitches are. And glitches are essentially hostile AI that are capable of corrupting any other simplified forms of AI. More advanced forms, such as androids, are highly resistant to this, so they are basically dispatched outside the city walls to kind of be the first line of defense and essentially like scout these things out, find out where they are, and hopefully dispatch them before they become an issue. Pivot would basically be a communications unit who is essentially responsible for helping track this kind of stuff and monitoring it from inside the city, though she sometimes goes outside the city of her own volition because she has reasons to do so. But a lot of the corporations still have major like factories and operations out in the abandoned city that they still maintain and run because it's outside of the jurisdiction of basically the city government. Granted, it's pretty dangerous and stuff, so that's mostly done remotely. But they'll usually dispatch Vigil and stuff to essentially protect those facilities and stuff like that. Another big side effect of this change is that I would also be removing any of the like pure non-human characters and stuff. So like Gladys, Paulette, and stuff, they wouldn't be in the story anymore. There wouldn't be any Dagonians and stuff because their plot really kind of had no bearing on the main plot. That said, I might remodel them and stuff and alter them to put them in the world itself. Because like augmentation and like cosmetic stuff and cosmetic modification and stuff would still be a thing for humans and stuff. So like you could technically have like somebody who like, oh hey, I'm a freak who wants to have cat ears. You could totally have that in world. Tower soundtrack is so good. let's see, what else? So yeah, Pivot essentially working with Vigil out the gate. You basically be a comms unit, much like Relay. Her initial presence that she'd basically be doing is she'd be investigating something that, trying to track down something about her origin in her off time. And that would kind of lead to the events that you saw in the webcomic and stuff with, like, the breaker unit and stuff like that. And then following that, she would basically want to take on a more active role. For reasons that would be explored in the webcomic itself if I ever do when I get to the reboot. The key thing with the different types of AI in the story is that you essentially have a few variants. You have basic AI, which would be like Gyro and stuff, which are basically AI as we know them today. Maybe just more advanced and stuff. So they can kind of have a personality and stuff, but they're still shackled, and they're still limited by basically certain protocols and stuff. You then have glitches, which are basically corrupted versions of these that have been unshackled and have basically kind of gone rogue and have kind of formed their own form of alien ethics, essentially. They're very hard to understand. Then you have androids and stuff, which are made as kind of a shortcut. Androids are essentially developed by essentially doing a process known as imprinting, where they basically scan a human brain and are able to replicate a lot of its logic onto a digital format, essentially clone the human brain into a digital mode. This new brain doesn't have any like memories or anything, but it does take on elements of the copy's personality, and it allows you to essentially make a android that essentially has basically a human sense of morality, and it basically clones the human. Basically, it clones the human's ability to make gray logic decisions. So they can now answer things that are. They can make moment-to-moment decisions much like a human would. And that is basically originally was going to be a shortcut for advancing AI technologies and stuff, despite how expensive it was to do. However, then they found out that, oh hey, this actually makes them resistant to glitching. Androids can't be glitched, or at least as far as we know. So androids basically wound up getting a additional use for that. Unfortunately, despite the fact that they have human levels of intelligence and stuff, they aren't quite treated the same. Because, I mean, ultimately there are some practical considerations considering that they are still machines, or they are still robots. So they don't have the same needs as a human does. And so there's like a lot of debate on that as well. I don't think it's possible to cover androids and robots gaining sentience and sapience and stuff without touching on that kind of topic. I mean, it's a topic that I really enjoy. Theme I enjoy. But also it's really hard to handle and stuff because there's oftentimes real-world allegories to it that can get uncomfortable, and I want to try and avoid at least that. I'm very glad that that video is still getting views and stuff and still is helping people to this day, because it's the advice that I put in that video is still relevant, and I almost want to do another version of it just to like give more tips and stuff. One thing actually in the Not Safe for Work community that's kind of been bugging me personally lately is that I've seen an influx of animations, which is good, but a lot of them are like they're just tweening things and calling it a day, and as a result the stuff that's being produced oftentimes is very kind of stiff. And think they would benefit from, like, some guidance on how to make things less mechanical and how to properly use tweens and stuff. I do not have an iPad, so I can't even look at Procreate. I'm going to be right back to get some more water. I'm going to just quick run an ad really quick in the meantime, because YouTube keeps nagging me about it. I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. So, going by your info, gyros kind of are narrow tasks, glitches are misaligned general intelligence, and androids are aligned uploaded intelligence. Yes, that's about it. Gyro would basically be a basic, if it would be an android, and then yeah. You can essentially argue with an android like you would a person, whereas a basic you might have to trick to a degree. I see that the YouTube ad also scared off half the viewers. Thank you, Raphael. I had a better term for it that I can't remember that I was using, because I wanted to use like a more sophisticated terms than just Android and basic. damn hard to get right. Struggle with Pivot's bangs more than I do her hands. Do you have any tips on painting, like theory and stuff and drawing 3D shapes? When it comes to color and stuff, really it helps to... I mean, it kind of... When you say that, I feel like you more mean shading, specifically. Because, like, painting and stuff, like, if it's just flat stuff, you're just concerned about colors and color balance and stuff, and color theory, which is also a good concern to have. And understanding color harmonies and like that. When it comes to shading, it's a matter of basically, like, one tip that you can do is you can actually, like, make a layer over it. And this is just for reference and stuff, but you basically draw essentially a wire map or a wireframe around the object and stuff to try and figure out what the shape is like. See, like, I'm kind of adding a bit of curvature here as it goes over at the top of her head. And then likewise over here. I'll kind of do a few more lines right here. Make sure that, like, oh hey, this and this line, they're about the same distance apart on the face. You can kind of wire map or make a wireframe around the object and stuff and figure out, like, what the shape is like. You can use that to try and figure out then the shadows. The wireframe is mainly just to kind of give you a bit of an idea. Generally, like, if you have anything that you can use as a reference, that's always good. Anyway, this is the routine reminder, by the way, that there is a Plushy campaign going on, and you guys should potentially consider putting down $2 to put in a pre-order. I only need 9 more, last I checked. Oh, 7 more now. The name Pivot. When I first came up with... Okay, so I played Cave Story back in, like, 2013, and I was like, wow, curly brace is so cute, I want one. So I made a few robot character designs, eventually settled on Pivot's design. And then I was kind of asking my friends for it, and actually Courtney, also known as Project SMT here on YouTube, she's the one who actually suggested the name Pivot, and so I ran with that. doing very lazy fingers here. I don't need it to be detailed and stuff, I just need the idea of fingers. Actually, that's another thing with character design that I kind of want to bring up. A lot of people, the worst, like, I've mentioned I don't like doing commissions and stuff, but one of the things that really does bug me when I do take commissions is when I get like a very over-designed character. Because a lot of people and stuff, when they have a character design and stuff, they'll kind of put in a lot of details, and what you want is you don't want details, you want the illusion of detail. There's ways to basically do optimal, like, design decisions that basically make a character look intricate and interesting without, like, actually, like, putting in gotcha levels of, like, gotcha game levels of character note details and stuff on them. And that's what you want to try and strive for when it comes to character design. I don't really have a good example to demonstrate what I mean. I can only just kind of describe it, really. Pencil drawings. Pencil drawings are cool. They're a good place to start, and sometimes some people go even further beyond with them. One of my favorite food artists and stuff does these really fantastic pencil and marker drawings. And one of my buddies is also his commissions are done in pen and pencil. And he's phenomenal when it comes to like anatomy and stuff. Honestly, the big thing that tools basically do influence is that, like, tools are more impressive because they can kind of present a hurdle, and that's more what's impressive about it, not so much the use of tools itself, of themselves. Like, I've seen some people do, like, really fantastic pictures using literally just Crayola markers and Crayola crayons. And it's like, those are just hard to use tools and stuff, and it's basically putting a handicap on yourself to make something like that. And the fact that you're able to make it while still dealing with that handicap, that's where it's cool. That's what's interesting. Another common comparison is I've seen some artists and stuff who are really damn good at working in Microsoft Paint. And it's crazy because, like, usually they're working with just a single layer as a result. Not necessarily that. Like, Genshin Impact is a great example of over-designed characters because they do their models in 3D, so as a result, they can just they only have to do it once, and then they can just pose a character around and it'll be fine. But there's just a lot of intricate details when it comes to their designs and stuff. VTubers often have the same issue and stuff, where a lot of them have, like, really intricate, detailed outfits and stuff. And, again, they're only being rigged up and modeled once, so they can have more detail crammed in there at one time. Hang on a second. Sorry about that, had an interruption. But what I was saying is like, yeah, like Genshin characters, like VTuber models and stuff. The big advantage is they only need their models to be made one time, and then as a result, they can essentially just be reused over and over again and stuff, and they don't have to like keep redrawing every single frame. When it comes to animation or comics and stuff, you're going to start hating yourself if you have a character design that detailed. It's also why like I don't do fan art for a lot of things that I'm into or people who I am a fan of and stuff. I don't do fan art very often just because sometimes their character designs are just that over detailed, and it's stressful to draw them. I want to try and find a good balance of detail. But again, it's not so much like Super Mario levels and stuff, because like Super Mario's design and stuff is like very simple overall. Like I wouldn't say that gives you the illusion of detail, though it is an effective design, but it's not a detailed design. And an effective design is also something that you can strive for and is also something that's good to do. But if you want a detailed design, you want the illusion of detail, not necessarily pure detail itself. Elements that are very effective in conveying a sense of scale and a sense of detail and stuff without actually like requiring a huge amount of work on your part. Stupid wrist. That's a very good example. Like, that's actually a fantastic segue, because like when it comes to character designs, if you have things like spots and stripes, those are very, very difficult things to basically recreate. Like Miraculous Ladybug actually had that issue, and it's the reason why they made Miraculous Ladybug, if I remember correctly, into a 3D show rather than a 2D animation, despite the fact that it was originally pitched as an anime, a French anime specifically. I'm using Clip Studio Paint to draw. Clip Studio Paint has committed to the subscription-based service, however, there is a permanent option still available. If you go with the subscription option, you can get access to the more recent updates and stuff. If you go with the permanent option, you get 2.0 at base, and then you have the option to buy a fairly cheap subscription model to get the updates. But I kind of am opposed to the subscription model outright, so I have not gotten said update model myself. But I did wind up upgrading my permanent license because they fixed the text tool in 2.0, or yeah, 2.0. So that was the big reason why I upgraded it, because that actually was a huge reason. I feel like that should have been just a update for the main line update thing, but like, I don't know. I'm gonna take what I can get. There's a lot of changes that they've implemented that I feel like should have been just bug fixes, but then you've instead marked them as a you've instead marked them as feature updates rather than, you know, what they actually are.
Hello there.
It wouldn't be a Pizza Tower soundtrack without its pizza time. If you're designing an original character, it helps to actually, like, give them a purpose or a reason and stuff. even if it's just a theme or something, but you want something to be there, some reason for them to exist, what do they do, etc. This is an old remix of Pizza Time. The advice that I gave earlier of focus on the feel of detail rather than the focus on the feel of detail rather than like actual intricate details and stuff. Also, if you want to see the picture that I drew for the thumbnail, here we go. Put it in her cyberpunk outfit, because PVO2 is supposed to be a cyberpunk setting that I never really fully committed to. The art that I have of the Pivot plush currently is based off of the Fumos from the Toho Fumos, because I am a Toho degenerate. Almost kind of always have like a slightly grumpy expression. I love them. Yeah, the music actually pauses because I have what is known as audio ducking. So whenever I speak, it knows to reduce the volume of my system sounds. So that way you guys can hear me more clearly, so I'm not talking over the music. If you can't afford the plushie at the moment, keep in mind that it is only $2 right now, and then the remaining is going to be charged when the full campaign launches, probably around December or January. But if you can't afford it right now, you still have time to basically save up. There will be a 3-week window where people will be able to order the plushie after the petition gets funded, or meets its goal. So there will be a second chance for people, or I guess the full chance for people to actually get it. this is the other advantage of vector layers, is that you can do this with normal raster layers and stuff, but with vector layers, it's just much cleaner. What you basically can do is set a vector layer to reference mode, and then set your wand tool or your fill tool to reference fill, and you can set it to go up to vector path. And then as a result, I'm going to go ahead and make this partially transparent so you can see. Oops. And I'm going to color this red for the time being. You can see that the fill has basically gone right up to the center of the strokes. So as a result, it goes in pretty nicely and evenly. And the advantage is that, oops, sometimes you will get gaps. Fill them in manually. But the advantage is basically, this is really clean. And it's like, it doesn't matter whether the line is thick or thin, it'll go right up to the center, where this will only cause a bit of an issue if the line is like exceptionally thin, like 1 pixel thin, because then it sometimes will bleed over and require a bit of cleanup, and you'll see like blurred lines on the outside. But overall, it makes the coloring process, at least for flat color characters and flat color art, much simpler. Then I can just go through and rapidly bam, 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 paint by number bullshit. Not the most detailed stuff, but I am not trying to be detailed right now because this is just a little silly, goofy comic. There was an invisible line that was setting things up. There it is. Bloodshot Sam by Finez. I've never heard this before. If it's... I'm not going to play music that basically is potentially subject to copyright, because I don't want to get copyright claimed, and it's annoying. Alright, y'all, can you stop with the copy pasta? You can spam me. I have wanted to redo a lot of the art and stuff, but also I want to just redo the webcomic as a whole. Mentioned earlier. Yes, I am very excited for the plushie. I've only been waiting 2 years for it. Yep, the plushie just needs... I think it was... Last I checked, it was... 4 more pledges to go. I don't know what the question is, Master of the Arts. I thought I answered it already. Lines, Webtoon, etc. I haven't really considered posting there, just because they have some restrictions on it, and I honestly don't know. What's with these spammers? Yeah, it's a spam bot specifically. That explained why it's just random people and stuff with no rhyme or reason spamming something that's not even funny. People get really fucking, like, tilted on certain things and stuff over, like, the most random shit. Like, one thing that's kind of funny to consider is, like, this is a pretty simple comic and stuff, and look at how long it took me to, like, produce this. This took me a hot minute to make. color for the walls. I hate doing backgrounds and coloring stuff. I'm not very good at it.
Hello there.
Here's another thing that I like doing. This is called a tone curve. It's an adjustment layer. So basically this controls left side, or the bottom side is the input, the right side at the top, the vertical axis is the output. So basically when it's a straight line and stuff, this means like a value of 0 outputs a value of 0 in terms of lightness. Value of 1 outputs a value of 1. To make this curve and change its shape to actually adjust the contrast at a small level. So like when I do like this means that darker colors become darker and lighter colors become lighter because they go above the flatline curve. You can also break it down according to individual channels. You can make it so, oh hey, there's more blue going on. Use the reds. Social painting isn't too hard to learn. It's just a matter of actually, like, starting. Playing any Baldur's Gate 3. I have played a bit of it. I love the game, but there are UI and issues with it that have been like really harming my or hurting my experience with it and making it harder for me to enjoy. I've had so many issues and stuff where it's like I slightly misclick the location and stuff and my character just starts moving over and committing to an action and I can't cancel out of said action. So they've like, oh hey, they're gonna just move away and provoke an attack of opportunity instead of, you know, targeting the creature that I was literally just aiming at. And it gets really frustrating and stuff when that keeps happening and I keep having to... And it's happening at like pivotal moments and stuff and I have to reload and stuff. I also can't stand how the camera is not easily controllable. It's locked to a very specific angle. And you only can control it via zoom. You can't control like the angle that it's aimed at. And I've had Nightbot for a while, and then they nuked it and deleted everybody's user preferences, and as a result I wasn't able to use Nightbot anymore, which sucked. I haven't really looked into getting a new chatbot since then. Not a console player at all. I definitely prefer it on PC over anything because, I mean, it's easier to handle that kind of interface on a PC. Also, you can mod it. Also, bold of you to assume that I have any, like... I mean, I guess I do have a few local friends, but I don't really have that many that I visit very often. Wahoo! We have heat! 200 pledges! It is funded! Just get this announced. Wahoo! Okay. So, and I just finished this comic right as soon as we wound up hitting the goal. So that's cool. So, I'm probably gonna be wrapping up here in a moment. I don't really have much more to do. If there's any last minute questions you guys have, what do you think about Murder Drones? I've never seen Murder Drones. It's a cool animation style and stuff, but like it's just never like appealed to me, I guess. So what's next for the Pidget Fit plush is Makeship is going to get in touch with me. We're going to discuss a prototype model. They'll give me up to 3 2D revisions and then 1 prototype that they'll send to me. In the meantime, I'm going to be asking like my various socials and stuff, including YouTube, for what they like in terms of design decisions and stuff as far as Pivot's design goes. Because like right here comparing, you can see she has leggings and she has this accent here on her top. And I've also decided to do an accent here on the sleeves. And I want to try and run that by people and see what they think. Figure out just kind of the general vibe that people want and what they expect for the plushie and stuff. If they want it to be like her classic traditional design, or if they want to see some of the new changes and stuff. Just stuff like that. See, originally I wasn't planning on doing stockings and stuff, but then I saw some fan art that some people had done for me where they gave Pivot like thigh highs or full-on pantyhose, and it's like, I like that. I want to try it out. Anyway, the full campaign will probably be around December or January. I would recommend over on Makeship and stuff on the site, you can actually sign up for notifications and stuff so you can get notified when it goes live, even if you haven't bought in yet. Anyway, do not fret, because again, I am working on something with PVO2. I don't know when it'll come out, I can't promise anything, but I want there to be... I want to revisit the story and restart everything. So, again, I'm not sure what form it's going to take, but I am not abandoning the property. I've never abandoned the property. I've actually drawn Pivot quite regularly, off and on, over the past few years and stuff. And I felt better about it because I didn't have to do it, I didn't have to drop the webcomic in order to do so, basically. And yes, I was doing everything by myself. I occasionally had a few guest comics and stuff, but otherwise it was all me. I kind of stopped doing the guest comics because there was some drama and stuff, or just poor turnaround time. But yeah, I did talk about a bit. You can watch the replay and stuff after the stream's done, but I did talk a little bit about what I want to implement for PVO2 in the future. But again, it kind of comes down to, like, I need to do it in a way that's not going to kill me like the webcomic did. Because trying to do the weekly comic updates, comics are already a hard part, especially doing more detailed graphical comics rather than, like, a 4-panel one. That's already harder. Doing every one a week to one every 2 weeks and stuff, when I'm not very good at comics and stuff, is also hard. And I'm not good with backgrounds and stuff. But yeah. Anyway, we've been going at this for about 2.5 hours now, so I think this is probably a good time to call it. So, we will wrap up here, so I'm going to go ahead and transition to the end card. Thank you all for watching. Goodbye, everyone. I will see you all when I see you.